Hi, everyone. Welcome to our April SLT meeting. My name is Shivali. I'm the SU president, and I'm going to be facilitating today while Miss Brandon is going to be secretary. Just to get started, if everyone had a chance to go through the March minutes, are there any corrections or edits that need to be made? No. Okay. Is there a motion to approve minutes? Okay, cool. Can I just get a show of hands? Okay, cool. March minutes are approved. We're now going to jump right into updates. I'm going to pass it to Principal Yu for admin updates.
Thanks, Shivali. Hi, everyone. Welcome back from spring break. Hopefully everyone had a rejuvenating time, and welcome to be back. Like usual at Stuyvesant, always there's never a day that's dull. I want to talk a little bit about today's incident and wanting to make sure that everyone's aware of what occurred. So today we received an anonymous phone call of a potential threat. We've received these before in the past, but since we haven't been back in the building, we've been fortunate that we haven't had to deal with it. But as we're getting closer in, to the end of the year, and we just always have to be prepared. So we received an anonymous call, and once we received that, we proceeded to assess and move forward with any safety protocols. We immediately called, NYPD and again followed the guidance. So essentially, because at the time we didn't think it was credible, we still wanted to move forward and make sure we followed protocols. So we went into a hold pattern, which is essentially making sure students and staff were in their classrooms, doing the regular things that they traditionally would do, but we wanted to make sure we cleared out the hallways. And so we ushered kids into either the theater or into another space, just so that we can have the hallways cleared. Students who were outside for a lunch or free period continue to stay outside, and when they were coming back in, we just ushered them to the theater. While we did that, we did a sweep of the building just to double check everything, make sure that the building was secure and that there was, again, no irregular activities or any of the things that, again, that we would be looking out for. The building was deemed safe and secure. This took all about 40 minutes. And so we extended the classes so kids didn't move once the bell rang. They stayed in their current classes, but once we did the sweep and we found the building secure and safe, we proceeded to move into the following period, which students went into. I think it was 8th period at the time. We continued to send messages right when we first made the assessment about the phone call, sent out communication to the school community, and then once we were able to better assess and follow the protocols and deem the building safe and secure, we did another follow-up to families indicating that we're back on normal schedule and we'll continue with after-school activities. Everyone, was great. They continued to stay in their classrooms until further notice. Ms. Pedrick made announcements, just again keeping everyone calm and making sure that everyone just stayed put. These are safety protocols that we're going to continue to follow, that we'll continue to put in place for any type of potential threat. It's unfortunate that we're in the day and age where we have to be very, very vigilant. But what might be a small disruption, we're going to continue to make sure we follow. We take every threat or potential threat seriously, and we've got to do our due diligence to make sure we follow all the safety protocols, from contacting the district to contacting NYPD for any potential cases. So I know that, again, there were many questions that were happening. What I ask is, this is the day and age of the cell phone as well. So oftentimes, there are assumptions that are being made, and information goes out very quickly, but just to be very clear with everyone, we need time to be able to assess, go through our due diligence to make sure we're following procedures and then putting action steps in place, which is what we did. And we move forward immediately once we're able to, once we received the anonymous call, and then proceeded to maneuver into all of those action steps. You know, unfortunately, the school has had to maneuver like this in the past, and you know, we'll continue to be prepared and move forward with that. The students were great, staff were really wonderful, and we're fortunate that our safety agents and NYPD have been really great partners in all of this. So again, you know, we assessed the issue, and fortunately, there was no issue, but we continued to make sure that the building was safe and secure, and then proceeded forward with our day. So let me stop there, because I know that there might be some initial questions just around that before I move forward on any other announcements.
Yeah, Dr. Ned.
Okay, so we are trained in a list of 3 things, which are like lockdown, shelter in, and evacuation. This, to me, and not just me, there were other staff saying this, hold is a new one. And I'm just wondering if there are others that like aren't on the list where we might be able to get access to procedures, because people were saying it was a lockdown and people were saying to turn out the lights and stuff like that. And that wasn't what you wanted. Because like, remember, I saw you in the hallway. I didn't know what to do. I said, where do I go? What do I do? And you told me, and that was great. And I was sitting in the principal's office, so I knew what was going on, and I was excited to know what was going on. But I'm just saying that like this feels like a newish thing in between a couple of things. And I'm just wondering if we have procedures for those. And
so let me just, this is why Ms. Pedrick got on the intercom, because again, we wanted everyone to proceed as normal. We just were not going to let students, once the bell rang, leave the classrooms. So we wanted to proceed as normal, because again, when we make these assessments, we want to cause, or we want to, you know, have less disruption as possible. All the different conversations that might go into exactly what you just said, Dr. Ned, like people thought it was a lockdown and people did, but this is why we need everyone to listen to the intercom, why that's so important. That's why Ms. Pedrick went on, spoke about what to do. Everyone stay calm, did those particular procedures, because rather than people guessing or making assumptions, we want folks to listen to what is being announced. This is the other reason why too, like when this happened and, you know, we made the announcement, you know, phone calls were starting to come down the pipeline, you know, immediately about what's happening at the school, all of those things. And I completely understand that, you know, anytime there's any, you know, possibility and your child's not sure, you know, they may text you all of that. But we need time to do our job as well. You listen, the safety of our students and staff are the #1 priority, but there are reasons why we practice these procedures. There's reasons why we have to assess and then make the best decisions to keep everyone safe. So what we ask is continue to listen to the intercom, and then we'll be out there directing. That's the adults were still out there, particularly the safety agents as well as the administration, and we were walking through the floor just to let people know, okay, hey, let's just move you into a classroom. Nothing to worry about, just stay in the classroom, stay calm. What we don't want is chaos. And again, everyone really, their actions were great. Folks followed directions, they went in, everyone stayed calm. Ms. Pedrick did a great job of making sure that everyone understood this was not a lockdown, because we knew once we made that announcement that folks were either going to text and make assumptions. This is why we immediately tried to send a message off to families as well about what steps we were taking. But yes, we will continue to practice that, you know, throughout the year. We'll continue to make sure everyone is updated. Hold has become a new piece. This is what was told to us as well, but proceed as natural, but just again, clear the hallways at this point so that we can continue just to do a building sweep at that point.
Thank you, Principal Yu. Are there any other questions regarding this incident? Ms. Pedrick, yeah.
I don't have a question, but I would like to share that the students who were brought into the theater were treated to getting a sneak preview to Friday's concert of our string instrumental performance. Our students were practicing, and it was very wonderful and calming to be in that environment. And that concert will take place this Friday at 6 p.m. in the Murray Kahn Theater, and you may want to purchase tickets ahead of time because none will be sold at the door. Information can be found in Ms. Ingram's weekly newsletter.
That's great. I love that segue. That was good. So let me keep moving on with the rest of the updates. And this is still around safety as well. Sorry, I'm the bearer of sometimes bad news. We're continuing to follow all safety protocols, including anything COVID related. So just a quick update. We're gonna continue to distribute test kits. I think everyone has been aware across the city. There's been a little bit of a spike, and so the city and the district wants to continue to do our testing. So we're going to continue to do some mass distributions of test kits like we did prior to spring break. So just wanted to let everyone know that we'll continue to advise on when to use it. But essentially, since we're going to have these test kits, and we're going to provide it to both students and staff, you could test regularly on your own. And again, we want to make sure that, we have this resource, we should utilize it. We'll continue the in-school testing like we have been doing, but this will be another preventative measure as well. And if there are any continue to be cases or are cases, please continue to use the form, and we'll continue to do our communication as well out to the school community about next steps. All right. All right. So moving on from safety, I've asked Dr. Haber just to talk a little bit about advanced placement exams. We got a busy month in May for the next 3 weeks. So I'm going to give you a broad, high-level overview of some key points around AP exams that will be starting next week.
Thanks, Principal Yu. So we're off on Monday for religious holiday. On Tuesday, May 3rd, we'll begin the AP testing, and that'll run through Friday, May 20th. So as the principal said, 3 weeks of testing. There is testing in other schools on May 2nd. So it created a little bit more congestion on some of the days, but it's been spaced out, whereas we can handle each exam. Exams are given at 8 in the morning, 12 noon, or at 2 p.m. Students taking exams can see the date of their exam and the time of their exam by logging into the MyAP on the College Board website. Parents can, and students and parents can, and everyone else can see the schedule, which is on the stye.edu, the AP schedule, Stuyvesant's AP schedule, which in some areas will correspond exactly to the schedule from the College Board, and others it doesn't because of the huge number of exams that we give. We spread it out over the course of 3 weeks wherever possible, instead of the first 2 weeks, which is standard in most schools. I just want to remind everyone that during the AP exam season, we are running classes as we always do. Nothing changes. We're still running all of our classes. The exams, for the most part, will largely be administered in the 6th floor gymnasium and in the library, also on the 6th floor. Expectations are that students taking morning exams would take their exam and then in the afternoon attend classes in the afternoon. And likewise, expectation if they schedule for an afternoon exam that they would attend classes in the morning. I do recommend all students bring a bottle of water and a snack. Permitted to bring that, just so you're in good shape and keep your energy up for those advanced placement exams. And I wish everyone best of all the best with those exams coming up. Thank you. Are there any questions on the AP exams?
Dr. Ned.
Okay, 2 questions. One was a while back before COVID, there used to be exemptions if a student had, if a teacher scheduled a classroom exam on the same day as the student had an AP exam. And somehow that washed away. And I remembered over the last few years that, kids were sort of like nervous because their teachers were saying they couldn't reschedule, or if there was a conflict of that nature. There was no like set policy. And I was wondering if any policies have been reinstated to protect students from having to take classroom exams like with their teachers on the same day that they have AP exams, because technically they're expected to be in school the entire day and not just come in for their exams. That's the first question. The second question is one that came up with one of my students over the recess. She had a college meeting scheduled and she couldn't reschedule it, and it clashed with my AP exam. And she wasn't sure what to do. And her initial thought was to reschedule the AP exam, and I told her she couldn't do that. And Dr. Haber, you told me I was right. And I just kind of wanted to put that out there that like rescheduling the AP exams is really impossible unless there's like a serious thing. And I just wanted to get your clarification on how that is in terms of policy for the classroom exam exemptions and for the rescheduling other school-based things around the AP exams and how those exemptions work. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Nedwick-Moore. I have not, that's the first I've heard of any issues the students having with examinations on the same day of AP examinations. So I don't have any information, and I have not seen I'm not aware of any policy. However, the AP calendar is out for months already. And I would hope that teachers would take into consideration if, let's say they're in 11th grade and there's 11th grade AP that a lot of 11th graders take, that they would consider and not scheduling on that day would cause a lot of issues, not just for the students, but for the teacher too, now having to provide makeups for that. So it is something that I think teachers, that makes a lot of sense, that teachers need to be, definitely study the calendar. And, we know which exams tend to be which grades, and go from there. What you said about the rescheduling it's more true than you stated. It's almost impossible to have a second date on these exams. The amount of resources that go into running these exams while we're running school, we use every resource we have. Every personnel is ready to go. We're still running school, and yet we're running these massive exams and doing it, in a relaxed fashion with fidelity, following all the rules of the College Board. There's no space. There's not enough space nor personnel to run redundant examinations. So thank you for bringing that up. That is
let me just chime in on that. So just a few points. One, everyone should look at the AP calendar that's on our website, because that's our schedule. That's the one that we're going to follow. We've had to make adjustments because of conflicts that have happened, because kids take multiple AP exams. We also wanted to buy as much time as we could for classes to get through the curriculum. So changing any of those dates, it's not going to happen. We got to just be very clear on that. And while we understand it might be a challenge for one or two students, the month of May is dedicated to these AP exams, which is a really tremendous effort. So we're asking everyone, if you have that date, please meet that date, because it's virtually impossible, as Dr. Haber just said, to do that. Secondly, we will go back and take a look, speak with our department chairs around the first point that you made, Dr. Ned, on that, and again, double check just to make sure that all the classes have been really thoughtful about knowing that the next 3 weeks from Tuesday through Friday are exams from 8 or 12 or even 2 p.m. So we just got to be very mindful of the schedule, because May it's going to be a pretty busy month, and we'll continue to follow up to just make sure everyone's in the best position to do as well as they can. Okay, and the last announcement or last update Shivali's going to give. I just want to give a quick note. Really want to say thanks to the students in moving forward. A lot of the work around our non-binary students and really thinking about the inclusion of everyone and really being as thoughtful as we can, and the subcommittee in general who've been working on this. This has been primarily a focus on the bathrooms and really trying to find ways in which we can do that. So this has been really great work that I think we might have found some solutions. So Shivali.
Yeah, thank you. So we have been working within the SLT and also within the student union to bring a lot of awareness to the non-binary population of students at Stye. And one of the biggest points mentioned among the SLT was that there was a lack of gender neutral bathrooms accessible to students. So we're really grateful that both Ms. Ingram and Principal Yu have opened up 2 new gender neutral bathrooms within their offices, one on the 1st floor and one on the 2nd floor. So it just brings greater access to students looking to change for gym or use the restroom within the day. So yeah, we're very lucky and grateful to have that option accessible.
And just a note really quickly, I mean, part of this is just always because some of these are near office spaces. We were just trying to make sure that we have supervision and kids clearly know where to go, that they feel comfortable using the restrooms. I don't think some of the staff feel comfortable even using the restroom that's near my office as well. So we want to make sure that, again, there's accessibility and so really, wanting to make sure that kids can access that, and again, in 273B and then 107, where the bathrooms are located. So 1st floor, 2nd floor, and also on the 5th floor, and then the nurses' room too, if that's also going to be accessible. So opening up some space, and I think again we'll continue to see how we can see how this works.
Ms. Brandon.
Hi, can you just tell me again where the bathrooms are located? I didn't catch the ending. So I know Principal's U office.
107, yep. And then 273B. So it's the suite 273. So it's where Miss Ingram's office is.
Thank you.
Yep. Oh, and then one last thing. And then nurse's office is 371, and then on the 5th floor. So last thing, this has been a while, but our bottle fillers are now functioning on the 2nd, 3rd, 6th, or 2nd, 3rd, 5th, and 6th floors. So our custodial engineer was able to finally get those functioning. We got them tested, and from my understanding, they are all fully functional. So, all right, that's it from Principal's update.
Thank you, Principal Yu. I'm going to pass it to the UFT. I'm not sure who's doing the update, but yeah.
Ooh, I don't actually think we have a UFT update because Miss Dave did not send me anything. So UFT is all good.
Cool. Mr. Shaffron, do you want to do the parent update?
Sure. And in advance, I apologize. You may have some noisy background in public space. We have we had a great programming workshop. Thank you, Ms. Ingram, and for all your work to get this going. Really terrific feedback and huge attendance. So it was incredibly helpful last night. One of the biggest things that we are working towards right now is Spring Feast. It's May 6th. I know some of you are joining, and we're looking forward to see you there in person. And those who are not, make sure you get your virtual ticket, because we have a whole separate program for the virtual attendees, and it's a major fundraiser for the PA to support the school. We also are working towards PA elections that are taking place on May 17th. So we're recruiting parents for the next year. And we continue our work with the student union on career fair. The date, it's going to be 4 days. The first day is in person on May 16th, and then the other 3 nights are virtual, 18th, 19th, and 20th. Continue work on the budget. And two other things that I want to mention, our appropriations team is going to release the appropriations of the spring appropriation cycle shortly. It's going to come, I believe, later this week. So stay tuned. And last but not least, kind of a parallel way to fund certain things. There's a Giving Tree drive that through the Parents Association. So just visit our site, get to things, and it's an opportunity to fund certain things through teachers and clubs and etc. Otherwise, not much else. Thank you.
Cool. Next up, we have Ms. Condi to do the DC37 updates.
Hi, everyone. How are you? I want to say that DC37 is the union that represents school aides, nurses, parent coordinators, and other job titles in our school system. We not only represent our members, by the way, we have over 90 DC37 employees at Stuyvesant, but we also look out for our students' interests and welfare as well. We keep working at the scanners, helping students when they come in and out of the school. Well, we keep working on the lunchroom, making sure students have a clean and safe place to eat. When a student is injured or it's sick, like when it gets sick at school, is a DC37 employee who always goes with them to the hospital until the parents arrive. DC37 employees interact and support our 3,000 plus Stuyvesant students every hour of every school day. Our DC37 members work with teachers, counselors, and administrators in many different ways. We care about and we contribute to making sure Stuyvesant stays the great school it always has been. DC37 has a history of significant achievements since they were established through addressing the issues affecting students, school, and its members. We believe social justice is a union issue through activism and coalition building. And DC37 is reaching out for the communities of the city to fight for a better future for members and our students. And if you have more questions for DC37, feel free to contact me.
Thank you so much. Are there any initial questions? No? Okay. Principal Yu, I know you had an announcement.
Yep, just really quickly, I want to say thanks to Ms. Condi as well. We have one staff, but we have a variety of titles, and we never want to forget the variety of roles that are needed to make the school function as productively as we need. So really appreciate the kind of broad overview and support that all our DC members continue to provide. With that note, two key things just want to put on people's radar. Tomorrow is actually Secretary and our Administrative Support Day, so please, students and families and administrators, just give a big thank you to our secretaries and our administrative support team. Again, a lot of the things that allow us to function as well as we have been is due to a lot of the work that our secretaries and administrative support team do. So please just give a thank you to them. And the next week is Teacher Appreciation Weekend. Same thing. We want to make sure our teachers understand how valuable they are and the work that they do and how grateful we are. So we'll continue to say thank you, and just wanted to put that out there. So any nice notes of appreciation I know would be welcome by our teachers. No gift cards, no other things like that, but nice written letters of thank you and appreciation really go a long way. So I wanted just to make sure that everyone's aware of that. All right.
Thank you. And just to finish it up, for student updates, as Mr. Schaffer mentioned, we're working continuously on the career fair for our 4 days, both in person and virtual panels. We also opened up our club allocations a couple weeks ago, and we are going to be setting up our meetings with club leaders next week to figure out where money is going to be allocated. We have a bunch of events that we already hosted last month and are continuing to host this month now that clubs and in-person events are slowly opening back up. We had our teacher versus student basketball game. Principal, you participated in, Mr. Moran, a bunch of other teachers, administrators, which went really well. We also had our gingerbread competition a little bit late in the year, but it was a fun time in the cafeteria. And then our seniors are always working on their senior events as we're closing out the year. So they just sent out their senior superlatives, prom pictures, our social media for college acceptances, merch day, and then yearbook purchases are also going to be opening soon, as well as graduation tickets have already opened. They also chose their graduation speaker, which will be released shortly. So that's exciting. And then finally, our IT team created a website recently called today.stuysu.org that has all the SU updates, school updates, as well as like the bell schedule or special schedules for the day. So we're going to send out an email soon, probably this week, to students announcing that website. But that's all from us. Ms. Metzler.
So Shivali, so you guys did find a graduation speaker, because I saw the call for request for speakers. Okay. Great.
Yes, they did. I'm not sure if they released it to the school, so I will leave that to them to do. But yeah, we are excited. They worked really hard to find.
And what's the social media for the college acceptances?
Every year the senior caucus makes like an Instagram page where students can submit if they would like where they're going to college and what they're studying. I forget what the handle is right now. I can find it. But it is, sorry. I think it's like Stye Senior 2022 or something like that. But yeah, Stye Grads 2022.
Okay.
On Instagram.
Thanks.
Yeah. Cool. Any other questions for any of the updates? No? Okay. Moving on to the next part of our agenda, career exploration at Stye. Am I handing this to Principal Yu or Mr. Shafran?
We can, I guess with both Mr. Shafran and I can just kind of handle it. I'll just quickly start and then I'll hand it over to Mr. Shafran. I think just as a quick point, we talk about college readiness, but I think more and more as we're, continuing to move through K through 12 education and higher ed, this idea of career exploration, career readiness is really coming into play more and more. So this has been a topic, I think has been raised not only in Stuyvesant, but across the city, and really thinking about the ways in which we're exposing young people to, career exploration. And it doesn't have to be this either or, because, I think the way we see it is a continuum. Kids are going to most likely go through higher education to get to a particular career, but the point of it being is because thinking about just a wide variety of courses that we offer in terms of curiosity and possibilities for majors and things that or areas that students may be interested in, we should be thinking about the complementary and supplementary things that could also be done to help students either develop certain skills as well as giving possible exposure to more career-related activities or tasks that could help them continue to explore further on their career. But this is just an initial discussion, and I think at least from administration, we really want to think about this in a way that supports the work that we're currently doing, but also how can we expand on making sure that kids are both college and career ready. Mr. Shafran, add to that.
Thank you. Yep, absolutely. And I think I probably want to expand the question a little bit broader. I think we actually had a group of parents that we formed a career exploration subcommittee within a PA, and we had our first kind of brainstorming conversation just to kind of start talking about it. And there are several general directions that we felt that would be helpful to understand what is currently done at Stye, and both to see if there's a need for a broader coordinated effort. So one is, as we said, it's building skills, and there are skills in specific areas or skills for career search, career development, interviewing, and etc. The second big area is learning what am I good at. learning what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses, what path. And I know Ms. Pedrick already mentioned that there's a lot of work that is kind of in the works or is already available to students, but just making sure that this is more coordinated and intentional and more students involved. And then the third, which is learn what's out there. And learn what's out there is obviously what we're currently working on with Student Union is falling right into this. And there is also an alumni mentorship, and there is mentorship through independent research that we're working on with Stye. But there is room to make it a little bit bigger. And our challenge was that I know we are very, very college focused a lot of times, as principal you mentioned, and we kind of wanted, I think even before you started kind of talking about it, it's really good to focus on these three areas and see, shall we have a coordinated effort? It doesn't need to be, but shall we understand how each constituency is working towards this, or where there's room for us to support students? And by the way, I'm aware that Student Union is actually doing quite a bit in this area as well. Particularly, I know the senior caucus and freshman caucus is doing some things there as well. So, I just we wanted to bring this as a discussion. We're ready to brainstorm a couple of things that would like to partner with different constituencies on for even later this year or for next year. But maybe just give everyone an opportunity to maybe talk a little bit about what they're already doing and how they've seen, and if there's a need to have this as a bigger coordinated effort. And if so, how do we approach this?
Does anybody want to start us off? So, I think the questions that were posed are like, what are constituencies already doing, and what do you think can be done to strengthen career exploration at Stye? Yeah, Ms. Metz.
All right. Okay.
So,
Good,
I mean,
good.
I totally agree with the points that Alex was making about, the college focus, and principal you as well, the college focus versus the career readiness focus. But one thing that I feel like we talk a lot about at the college level, but since I'm on pretty involved with the two places I went for graduate school and undergrad, and some of what we talk about there is on the career front, making students aware of like the maybe obvious careers. Does that make sense? Because one thing that ends up happening, at least at the undergraduate level, where I went to undergrad, is we have this whole career center, and it's just filled with the firms that come to recruit. So I think a lot of kids end up thinking like, oh, I can graduate from college, I can go to law school, med school, or I can be a management consultant or an investment banker, because those are the only people that come and, recruit for these jobs. And so a lot of the emphasis, at least some of the work that I've been doing with those institutions, has been on supporting kids in internships in things like the arts or, just other areas, so that they don't feel like, and putting stipends to it, which is obviously not an issue for us, but so that kids see things other than the very obvious career tracks that, people recruit for. Does that make sense?
Ms. Pedrick.
Hey, thank you for this. So I love that this is a PA initiative, because I'd love to see us being able to open the eyes of our parents to all of the variety of careers that are out there. So often within the counseling department, we get feedback from students who are saying, well, yeah, I do love doing art, or I really do love working with animals, but I'm going to be an accountant. That's what my parents tell me I have to be. So it'd be really wonderful to share the information that Ms. Metzer just mentioned to our parents' constituency as well.
Mr. Sunwoo.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, in terms of first of all, I think it's a fantastic idea. Secondly, I think that what might help is to really kind of push for like Stye alums, just because I think that there's a connection there already. And I think also kind of like making sure that it's broad in terms of what folks are doing. I know that that might be obviously that's easier said than done, but I think students being able to see a variety of careers and not just having them be, you know, in law or science or medicine, like, but kind of having it be more expansive would be especially meaningful for the students, especially if they plan on doing something, you know, different. So yeah, just that's all I wanted to share.
Dr. Ned.
Yeah, just to echo that and extend it a little bit, myself and my husband both being alums of Stuyvesant, both of us changed careers. I mean, I was an academic scientist for years in molecular biology before I started teaching at Stuyvesant. I have a couple of ed degrees. My husband has forbidden me from going back to school, like ever, like for classes. My husband was a chemist and has a PhD in chemistry. He's in computers. And, you know, he makes probably twice what I make in computers. And so both of us made a shift, not knowing we were going to at any point. And the schools we applied to and the schools we excelled at, you know, maybe we would have done it differently had we known what we were going to be doing now. And I think that's something I really, really have a hard time convincing my students of. They come here and they're focused, and it's like a one way, and it has to be just one way. And there are so many different ways that your life can go. And that's something we as teachers, I think, have a hard time convincing the parents of. But, you know, when you live life, you know that it's just not, you don't have the kind of control you think you do. And I think a lot of the students sort of crush themselves thinking they can't, when in fact, it's not really in their control. It's about what the schools want. There are a lot of different factors. And Ms. Pedrick does an excellent job with her college office staff of really making this broad spectrum of schools available to everyone, with college night and with the other sort of special things that she does. And everybody really needs to listen very carefully to everything that's coming from that office, because they really know what they're doing. Believe me, I've known the college office at Stuyvesant for years, and they really are on top of it, and they're fantastic, and everybody should listen to them.
Thanks, Dr. Ned. Ryan.
Yeah. Hi, everybody, and thank you, Mr. Shaffron, for just like bringing this up. Like, I think on a very personal note, that I just find like career exploration and just like having this openness to change and whatnot, like it really resonates with me. Like me personally, like I was this like massive STEM kid in the freshman year, and then like God knows what happened, but like I'm talking to a bunch of people through a computer right now. But I think one of the biggest things that, like, to me, from what I've learned, is that things change, and that I'm not necessarily predestined to whatever like my friends want me to do, or something that I originally think of myself as. And I really sort of want to bring open the point where that, like, especially in such a competitive area in Stye, where there are some things expected from students and staff, et cetera, that, you know, having a sense of like putting forward having a sense of an open mind to be able to change and really explore yourself. I find that to be like the most encouraging thing whenever you're talking about students with like finding whatever careers they're into. As long as there's support for exploration, students will be able to explore things.
Nev.
Yeah, I mean, like Ryan, I think that I've seen a lot of different people, you know, shift what they're focused on through high school. And I still see, like, as a senior, I talked about what they're going to major in college, and I still see like two tracks that are either like pre-med or like computer science, or if you're in the humanities, pre-law. And like those are like the three tracks that students think they can go on, and that's it. And I think that if they do that, then they're set for life. And if they don't do that, then they're just never going to have a successful future. One thing that I do remember being really helpful was the student union. We have career fairs every single year. And when we have career fairs, the students come, and one of the first questions that they always ask is, what did you major in college? And like, how did you get from college to your job? And so I think if maybe we can get more students to come to the career fairs, and like they'll actually hear from people who've been through the process. And I think that like a lot of people who are, lawyers or who are engineers who are coming to these career fairs, they didn't start out like that in college, or they took, other routes. So I think that would be a great way to, encourage students to pursue different paths and not just to go by like what they've heard is like the best way to get into Harvard and to become a doctor.
Ms. Zhang.
Hi, everyone. When I heard Mr. Sheffran brought up this idea, I was very excited, actually. I think this is such a great idea just for, the whole community to look at this in a very new, maybe different perspective. Just, I feel like this is kind of like more, it looks like more complex, but it's very, I feel like it's dynamic because the technology, the world is changing constantly. And so when we are able to look at like helping students build skills and also help them learn what they are good at. I think it's very important because Stye is a STEM school, right? So a lot of kids or even parents think about, we want our kids to go to like finance fields or maybe just doing computer science. It's easy for them to find a job, but not all people are good at, doing programming or maybe working on Wall Street. And I think this is very important to help kids and be aware what they are good at. I think this is a really important idea. And what's out there, it's more like making connection between what we learned, what students learn in school, and also what outside world require, what kind of skills, other industries are looking at. And I also like the idea Mr. Su brought up, and we can make connections with Alumni, since I feel like they are, most of them are really willing to help school. And also what I like, compared to Brooklyn Tech, what I like about Stuyvesant is like, I just feel like Brooklyn Tech is kind of like, they have like more specific areas to put students in the specific programs, but Stye, it has more general program. I feel like it gives the students more flexibility for them to, I say just they're in the path of looking for what they're good at and which field is appealing to them. So I feel like it creates more opportunity for them. And also in the future, they can always go to, since a lot of fields are, we talk about like interdisciplinary fields. So it will be easier for them to move to other fields as well. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I just quickly wanted to jump in and say, like, in my experience, the two biggest ways I have been able to explore career at Stye have been electives and clubs. And I think one comment I have on electives are that while I feel like they can be the most eye-opening to what you want to do in your career, it's really difficult to get into them. And it's also really difficult, especially if you're on the humanities side, I think, to have a wide variety of options. So I think something I'd be interested in seeing is maybe surveying students on specific aspects of humanities that they would like to see electives open up for. And I know it's really hard to add an elective because you need interest for that subject as well. But we had a career fair planning meeting a couple weeks ago, and we were going through some of the results and responses we got for what career students wanted to see. And we were kind of shocked to see how large of a group of students wanted visual or fine arts experts to come into the school. And obviously the medical and the law were the biggest categories, but there were some underdog candidates that really surprised us. So I think expanding electives to those fields, if that is of interest to students, would be helpful. And then I also think having staff, so counseling department, college department, teachers, aware of what clubs exist at Stye, because I think a lot of the clubs go into the niche categories of business or of medicine. So if a student comes to you with interest of a specific aspect of your class that you're teaching, redirecting them to a club could be helpful. But yeah. Ms. Torres Mokovitz.
Hi, thank you. I like what's been said. It's an interesting conversation. I just came from right before this meeting, my last class of the semester at Syracuse, where I teach an eco-urban seminar, and I opened it up to the architecture students to talk about these things in their career and kind of what Dr. Ned was saying, how long our careers are, and to have meaning. I've been finding the last 10 years that my college students are seeking, which is a good thing, they're seeking like meaning and work and social justice and like sustainability in their career, within their career, and how they can tackle that along with, so that they're fulfilled, and along with the technology changing so fast, and what Sophie Zhang was saying about the interdisciplinary nature. So I just back up, like having Stye alum, maybe Stye parents, but where you just get to hear from different voices, like what Nev was saying about when you hear how someone made their career jump path work. I find that's like one of the best ways that I learn as well. So I just wanted to bring that in, that I think that fulfillment and trying to solve the world's problems and within your career are like important to students today. And so like understanding that better from talking to people in the career 5 years, 10 years, 20 years out is I think would be great to see it Stye. Thanks.
Ms. Brandon.
This is a very hot topic. Just to keep it in short, I'm hoping that the committee, the Career Exploration Committee, is reaching out to the counseling department, because the counseling department does do a lot in regards to career exploration, especially starting a sophomore year with the Naviance workshop, and then it leads into junior year with the SSR. I know one of the questions that I ask, and I say it's very premature questions, like what do they see themselves pursuing in the future? And that's when those conversations start. I'm hoping, again, you reach out to the counseling department to know what we actually do and how we support our students in the career exploration field. And also just having a timeline of when these things happen, because it sounds like things are being done at the school, especially, utilizing Mr. Blum and his internship opportunities bulletin, but it sounds like it's all over the place. So it's not like condensed into one spot to kind of visualize, okay, freshman year, this is what they do. Sophomore year, this is what they do. The school does this, collaboratively during this time, like a career fair. So I'm hoping that you guys are reaching out to the counseling department, because we do a lot.
Ms. Zhang.
Yeah, I would say, like, because I am both Portland Tech and Stuyvesant parents. My older one just graduated from Portland Tech, because like when he is like in middle school, he know that he wants to be joining to architecture or civil engineering. That's why he like go straight to Portland Tech. And then he, in the 10th grade, he joined the open house to see how the each department, each major, how it works, and also listen to those people who already in that major. And also like when in the 11th grade, he just jumped into civil engineering and he get all the AP that he need. I think it's really depend on the kid. Then my second one, he don't know what he wants to do. So then I just suggest him to come to Stuyvesant, and then he did. Like he don't have that much AP as another people does. And also I know that like a limit for the people, for the kid who like want to get different AP because there's the spacing, because the grade. I think like yesterday we all joined in the workshop about like how the parents or the kids can get in track, like if they want to jump into like some special area, like what kind of AP they need. So I will suggest like we will like have like the parents need to have like more connection with the guidance counselor, because like a lot of the people, they don't know, like when the kid in the school, they have problem, they need to go straight to the guidance counselor. That's why we're doing like we're playing like some model in the WeChat group. We try to answer the question. But when the question go to very specific or very special, we will suggest them try to go to talk to the guidance. And some of the parents, they may have the problem like speak in English or writing in English. So very luckily we had Miss Yang, who was the Chinese guidance. She's like saying like she's willing to help. And also I suggest them just to try to write it in Chinese. See, maybe the guidance can try to find somebody who can translate for them. So I think that is like really depend on the children. And the second one, we need to work very close to the guidance. That's why we have so many very good guidance in Stuyvesant. There's the very good resource the parents need to use. So in order for them to know if that the kid figure out like what they want to what career they want to, so they can talk to them and ask for the suggestion and see whether and also see whether the school can like give them some opportunity to get the AP that they need. Then I think like I will not say Portland Tech is good or Stuyvesant is good, but for me both school is good. It's just like whether the parents or the student need to know how to use the sources that a school provide. So I think that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Condi.
I'm sorry. All I wanted to add is that I agree with Ms. Brendan saying about Mr. Blum, and I feel like Mr. Blum can be part of achieving this goal, and as well an Alumni Association person, according to me.
Ms. Lee.
Hi, thanks. I think, the Alumni Association has been brought up a couple of times. And I love the comments about how people's careers change, because I think a number of us are alums and aren't exactly in the jobs that we started out with. And I wonder if partnering alums like very specifically with clubs that might have certain interests, that way, somebody's drawn to a club and then may be able to meet folks who've explored that field or were interested in that field before and kind of exploring what directions they've taken might be a more specific way of connecting alums. Have the broad career fairs, but also, send out a request for alums or parents to actually partner with some of your organizations to give more specific guidance like around those topics. Just one idea.
Thank you. Mr. Shaffron.
I wanted to ask either Ms. Brandon or Ms. Frederick, can you maybe share what % of students actually get either Myers-Briggs or any Navians, no guidance that actually end up going through this career exploration or kind of understanding what are their natural inclinations?
I can answer part of that question. So during Naviance's Giving sophomore, and I can confidentially say that when it was myself, Miss Paris, and Miss Ryman who did majority of the Naviance workshops, we had 99% attendance. So we had covered 1, 2, 3. We covered Miss Paris, myself, Miss Ryman, Miss Kornhauser's, Mr. Walkus, Mr. Goldsman, and Miss Yang's homeroom. And we
during remote.
This was during remote. So we had 99% attendance on it. So we kind of took on that for like, just to kind of support our colleagues. So we are planning to do that again this year. But it's my understanding that the counselors will be making sure that they do their homerooms right now. And this is an important piece because we say that this is going to lead into, the SSR interview, the SSR, just a survey. So for us in our eyes, it's like the process is evolving. So it's just like, when you're in this grade, this is what you do, and then we follow up. So we have something in place for it. And we always push for Mr. Blum's, opportunities bulletin. When we meet with our students, one of the questions that, I don't want to speak for our counselors, I'm just going to speak for myself. Like, it's a premature question, but what do you see yourself, pursuing as a career? So, and that's how I get to know my students. And that's how I know, well, this kid really wants to be, I'm just doing an example, wants to be a doctor. So I make sure that, you know, like I'll have them in mind for an AP bio class or like cancer research or anything that's medically, you know, themed for them for programming. So we kind of know our students.
Not that she places them in those classes, just that
Not
she
that I
wants to
can
make
place
sure
them
that they
into
are
the
aware that
classes.
that class could be requested.
Yeah. Yeah. So Ms. Pajic, you can.
No, yeah. I know, thank you so much for mentioning Mr. Blum. Of course, that's often who we think of when we think about the career explorations. And I believe he's been partnering with a PA for some years for career fair, right? It's around this time of year in the spring, May or so, no?
He's usually doing this in December. There's a December presentation that he's doing for us, and then we obviously all his opportunity bulletins. Yep.
Yeah, okay. So then we also have an organization that comes in and offers interview skills, although those are definitely geared more towards the college. So yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like, I haven't felt thus far that this has been a missing component for us, but it's definitely something that we can grow. Yeah.
So I guess just one clarification. When Ms. Brandon, when you said that there was a 99% participation, so is it fair to say that 99% of students getting, let's say, their Myers-Briggs, and they getting sort of an assessment of a result that, oh, this is what I'm better at and this is what I'm not? Interesting. I somehow
yes.
That's
yes, and
okay.
We had a good turnout. I mean, it was during remote.
Oh, that was like, for particular grade and particular year. That's not an annual thing.
No, we do it every. We started this process in 2020 in March, but then COVID happened. We still finished it. And then last year we did it remotely, and we had a good turnout because we had a system where if the kid didn't show up, we would call the house and be like, hey, you're supposed to be at this meeting. So that's why we had 99.9%, you know, attendance. So we're going to expand it this year, you know, to probably include the weekends because we know the students are busy. So the weekends after school, make it more accessible for them to participate in these workshops. It's important because it also allows them and introduces them to Naviance, which is important during the junior year and especially during senior year.
If I could just take a quick opportunity, because I think in this group of SLT, we talk about Naviance and the Naviance Nook often, but if anybody is tuning in and is not sure what we're talking about, Naviance is the software online tool that we do use in our school. It's used in over 9,000 high schools to apply to college and do exploration of colleges and to look at statistics and to communicate with your counselor, etc. But there's another component of Naviance which allows students to do a lot of self-reflection and career exploration. So in recognizing that back in 2019-2020 school year, we did receive a grant from the Department of Education. It was called College Access for All. And we were able to create a curriculum that we were calling Naviance Nook because we had designated a particular area of the school counseling suite, room 236, to be able to deliver the curriculum to our students and set them up on individual laptops. So we would give a broad overview, set them up on the individual laptops, allow them to do you know, some exploration interest surveys, and then have that link into thousands of database of careers that Naviance has and videos of professionals, etc. That gave the students an overview and then allowed them on their own to go a little bit deeper if they chose to. So absolutely, I think we did maybe 2 in person in March 2020, and then we went right into remote. So thankfully the counselors who were navigating those initial rounds were able to pivot and offer it remotely. And we're very pleased now because we saw the great participation rate of having the students be able to do this in the evenings and weekends. So for this upcoming offer that we're going to be starting, we're able to do a combination of those things. So we're going to be offering in person as well as remote options for our students to tune in.
Thank you, Ms. Pedrick. Dr. Ned?
Yeah, I just wanted to, there was something a parent said a few turns ago about AP, advanced placement related things. something about the opportunity, something about having the opportunity to get the APs they need. And there was just something about that phrasing that sort of prompted me to address a couple of things about that. I teach one of the AP classes at Stuyvesant. I teach AP Bio. I took AP Bio when I went to Stuyvesant. I took AP Calc. Those were the only two APs I took. It was a while ago. I just want to address a couple of things about what APs mean, what advanced placement classes mean for students. I took a quick survey of my kids today, and I said, how many of you are taking 5 exams? And there was at least a hand in each class. How many 4? How many 3? Just a significant number were taking 3. Very few were taking only 1. I teach juniors and seniors. What APs you quote unquote need, and I've talked to alumni about this, recent alumni, that's very major specific. It is also very school specific. And College Board has like a toggle, the College Board, the people that monopolize, all of these exams. They have a toggle, and you can go and see what the schools take credit for, what they will allow credit for, what grade thresholds they have. And many schools take AP credit, which is why I think it's such a great program. But it is major specific, and it does have to do with kind of what you're going to do when you get there. And it's something that I know, because I know the decisions are coming up, is definitely something that the seniors should ask their contacts at the schools. Like what I'm thinking, I signed up to take this AP exam. Will I get credit for it? How does that work? And in terms of programming, more is not necessarily better. Like what you can handle and what is right for your trajectory is what you should be doing. And we talk about this a lot among the teaching staff. I love the AP biology curriculum, but certain AP classes are not necessarily a fit for certain students depending on what they want to do. So it's really about what do they want to do, and then fitting that to like where they are going to go to school and all these other sort of really complex pieces. And that's, again, something that the guidance department is fantastic. Guidance counseling department is fantastic at guiding, and a lot of the teachers and the APs have a pretty good handle on it too. So ask us, don't just guess about what you need. Thank you.
Mr. Shaffron.
Thank you. I think we got a little bit derailed in terms of where this conversation was supposed to go or what was expected to go. So I appreciate the education on the APs. This is a good pitch, but I'm wondering what is the right next step, right? We've discussed this. There were some points that brought up. As I mentioned, we formed our PA has a career exploration subcommittee that, right now it's a subcommittee that are going to be active through the end of June. Hopefully, I'm not going to be here next year, but hopefully the team is going to continue with that committee for next year as a special committee. But would be great to partner and see this as an initiative across. And definitely just wanted to bring up many ideas that were brought up are fantastic. One of the things that the career exploration committee was going to do is to see if we can fit in one virtual event on the top kind of newest jobs or something that students don't really know about. There are some really cool ideas that were thrown around, and this is very much in line with what Chandra, what you were mentioning. So we'll definitely ping you for some context, and also connecting with Shivali, connecting with clubs like finance clubs or other clubs, connecting. And yes, whether it's parents or alums, absolutely both there's a massive resource. And one other point to bring up is that when we talk about skills, so yes, there's a skill of, they're learning about ourselves, but there's a skill of interviewing, there's a skill of writing your resume, there's a skill of networking. And I think skill of networking is something was actually quite interesting, because we've had a conversation, Chevelle, even with you, right? As we were thinking, what is the right format for the career fair? And we've all realized, every time when we open a breakout room, it's not good. Like it just really doesn't work very well. And we were thinking there must be a way, but funny enough, what was ironic, and this was brought up in our career exploration meeting, what was ironic is that is exactly the skill that you need to develop in order to learn and find and connect and kind of move forward. So again, something possibly we can come up with the outside of this, at the end of this conversation, I was hoping we could come up with some follow-ups. So that's let's see what that could be.
Yeah. Can I chime in, Shivali? So I think this was great to just hear from everyone. Just a few thoughts from my end, and just trying to make some of the connections, because I think one thing that we really want to think about is what Mr. Shafran said before. It's like there's a lot of moving parts that are actually happening. It's about connecting them so that they're not these one-offs that aren't being reinforced with one another. I think this is something just around, going from like programming in terms of the types of courses, that it lends itself to students having more awareness about what they potentially might want to major in when they go into college, as well as just thinking about like what's the build on in terms of exposure to a variety of careers that are, folks have gone from a non-traditional route to also just recognizing like work has changed dramatically. And, now with COVID, again, what are the things that people value and what are the ways in which they're going to pursue this? I think, for us, part of this, the thing that I want us to think about is just kind of the holistic piece. We're talking about from academics to the extracurricular to the ways that we're getting like building skills. Because all these things are actually happening. They're happening in kind of parts. I think some of it just even being more explicit. I know we're kind of separating it from college, but I think we can't actually really do that, because those skills that are integral for college success is integral for just overall life success and careers. And I think that's just something for us to think a little bit more strategically about, so that kids aren't seeing this as separate, but rather they're really hand in hand and going to be just useful in general. I think the one next step, and I'd love to hear from folks, is just doing an inventory of what's actually happening from what you think you said initially from the constituent groups. Like, what are people doing, so that we can see what those connections are and what do we want to keep doing and or reinforcing from one group to the other. Because I think the other part that we have the most control is some of the programming pieces, which again, how does this fit throughout the school day and beyond, and making these connections that again aren't necessarily one-offs, but are a reinforcement from either one activity to the next, and or from one group to the next. So I don't know if that's if people are in agreement with that, but maybe the next step is to do an inventory of what folks are really doing around those three questions that you posed.
I know we're a little bit over time, but are there any last thoughts or reflections on the conversation or what principle you just mentioned? Mr. Shafran.
Sorry, so I love the next step, and inventory sounds great. So are we, just to maybe be more specific, are we basically suggesting that the core three constituencies or several constituencies are going to take it away, and we're going to coordinate basically, let's kind of pull something together, that what SU does, what school does across various groups, and what we do, and then bring in the Alumni Association and just have them. So this way, at least we have one place, and then we can see how to bring that forward. That's a suggestion, right?
Yeah.
Okay. No, we definitely would love to see that done. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for participating and sharing this discussion. The next part of our agenda and the last part are the key school priorities. Principal Yu, I imagine that's you once again.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and share a deck really quickly. Hopefully everyone can see this. Yeah, not wrong one. Let's see. This one, here we go. All right. I'm sorry, can you see, is the first slide Stuyvesant future priorities? Okay, good. Trying to get all this together. So this actually builds in with just our previous conversation. I think, again, that we just had about, career exploration and such. This was a conversation we started the last SLT, and I know since we've had spring break, there might be a little bit of forgetfulness of the point of here. But one of the things as we've been moving on, from the pandemic is my major goal is just to try to get us to a level of stability and kind of getting back into motion some of the things, and building a cadence of the things that we've been accustomed to, while also clearly making adjustments. But I think we're at a point now where we're really thinking about what's the feedback and what's the priorities that we want to set for Stuyvesant. We've had a lot of great ideas. We do a lot of amazing things, but this goes hand in hand with the thing that Mr. Shafran just said. It's like the connections that need to happen, that are either reinforcing one another, but most importantly is our time, effort, and energy. Like, we can't get to everything. So let's get to the things that are really matter to our constituent groups and our entire school community, so then we can actually see and spend the time necessary around making those types of changes. So this was something that I made mention last SLT meeting, really thinking about what are our kind of short/intermediate priorities and our longer term priorities, because what I've heard over the past year and a half are, like I said, a lot of great ideas, a lot of great suggestions and recommendations that would require a concerted effort to make some of the changes that I think we're all talking about, particularly around things that might be more structural, things that might be more institutional, that we want to set. So at the last SLT meeting, I made a suggestion that would love to find ways to solicit more feedback from the different constituent groups, and being able to ascertain and collect this information so that we're hearing from a variety of stakeholders, and in a way that, again, is helping us really think about what's important to the school community. So I started that last week, and our next step after that meeting was to convene with Mr. Shafran, Shivali, and Ms. Daves to just kind of wrap our heads around, like, how can we actually get some really good information and feedback from our different groups. And so we came together and had some ideas about how we might do that. So I'm going to just share a little bit of our timeline and some of the different activities. Mr. Shafran, Shivali, Ms. Dave's not here, but can please chime in if I'm missing anything. Hold on, it's not moving. All right, here we go. So just a quick kind of big picture piece. The thing that I really want our school community, and particularly the SLT, to think about is, like, what is it that we would really want to prioritize at Stuyvesant? Throughout the time that I've been here, we've got a very complex school community with a lot of different needs and a lot of different wants. But we only have a certain amount of human resource and energy and effort and resources. So we really want to think about where we want to put forth a lot of our energy, so that we can think about the key things that are most important in helping Stuyvesant be the school that we want it to be. The other part is too, like, what's important to the various stakeholders. And the SLT offers us an opportunity to have all the constituent groups together. And so we really want to leverage that as much as possible. But we also need to hear and listen to one another, because we may not always be on the same page about our wants and needs. And so really being able to try to solicit that, to then at least get more information, so that myself, administration, and our school community can really think about what makes sense for us. And then the big piece is, like, how do we get feedback from a number of people, so that we're not just hearing from the loudest voices, but we're hearing from all voices in a way that allows us to make the best decisions as possible. So with that being said, we want to just talk, I want to talk a little bit about kind of what we are thinking in respects to getting some of the feedback or preliminary feedback and the timeline in general. So again, part of this is trying to get into a cadence, an annual cadence from year to year. So we'll get better at this. But what we set initially was that we would do a stakeholder specific survey. They would mirror closely, so that we're not asking various, different questions for each group, but rather that there are lots of similarities, including like the cover message that would go out. We're really thinking about having this go out in a window of from May 1st to May 16th. This is a way to get to the larger population. So we know, again, we do lots of surveys, but this is, I think, is a good way to solicit some feedback from a variety of stakeholders. we want folks to think about the degree of importance. So we're going to ask to rate some of the feedback in terms of, what's being suggested, either as high, medium, or low. So again, we can do some cross-referencing once we get all of the feedback from the different groups to see what folks have deemed as high importance versus low and such. And then after we get the kind of initial survey information, we really want to start doing some focus groups. So each constituent group will look between May 16th and May 30th to gather some folks to, again, kind of build up on the feedback and have opportunities for people to engage in conversation with this. And then May 31st through June 3rd, the different stakeholder leads will kind of synthesize some of the preliminary data. Again, this is an opportunity for us to at least gather it, collect it, and then share or synthesize it to then eventually share to the group. We would then do on June 6th a preliminary feedback share out. Okay, again, all of this isn't going to be as fully analyzed, but at least by June 6th, the goal here is to give some preliminary feedback and share out with the rest of the group. Once all of the information's been synthesized, I'll collect it from Mr. Shafran, Shivali, and Ms. Daves, so that we can use that to review it. Both myself, the administration, between June and August of 2022. The intent of all of this feedback and getting all of this information is so that we can align it with our budget process, with any new initiatives that may be coming out from the city and from the current administration. This will allow us to process and get a better sense of where we can expend resources, energy, time, all of those. But the feedback is essentially for me and the team to be able to really process and hear. Hopefully you have heard from all the different constituent groups about what's important. We're going to have to do some synthesis on our own and analysis around like what's the, cross-referencing the different data, but to be able to get a better sense of what folks have deemed as important. And then for September, SLT meeting, that would be our first meeting, is to really discuss the findings, kind of where the direction we're going to be moving in around all the different data that we got, and then what we were able to process that's in alignment with budget and any other initiatives that are being directed from the city, as well as where we would want to go as a school. So I know this is a pretty tight timeline, but it's going to take a little bit of time. And this is, like I said, this is our first go around. But my hope is that this will become an annual kind of endeavor that we can then become, being able to always solicit feedback and seeing what adjustments need to be made. And I think the most important thing, and when we talked about this in the smaller group, is setting some goals and benchmarks so that we know that we're getting to a place where we are seeing kind of what the dividends are or what the results are. And if we're not meeting it, that's great. We just can figure out and learn why we're not meeting it, or is it continuing to make sense for us? But this is a process that we want to start putting in place as a way for us to then really start to prioritize what is most important for us as a school community. So I'm going to stop there with the process and timeline, and want to give Mr. Shafran or Shivali, I'm sure I missed a few things, but want to give them an opportunity to chime in as well.
No, I think you pretty much covered it. I mean, we're really excited. I mentioned it last time. We're really excited that this is a great opportunity to be intentional and thoughtful about this as a plan and identify short-term and long-term goals. So, and that's exactly why we wanted to get some initial information, have it processed, have some focus groups, potentially some other things. I mean, we'll partner with Dina to brainstorm a few other ways how we can get information, and then we'll process it and bring it back. So definitely very excited to focus on this. Thank you.
Ms. Metzler?
I was just going to offer that in other situations where I've seen surveys like this, where you're trying to get feedback from lots of different stakeholders, that sometimes it's helpful to have a team of champions, to get people to fill out the survey in a way that, so we get really good participation, and not just from the people who, are the more likely to answer, and maybe some of the people who have something to say but don't. It just needs a little bit of encouragement. So happy to brainstorm with you all as to what that could look like. But I know it was very helpful. For example, at NYU, they did a big stakeholder survey. You know, my husband, who was working at the university at the time, was a champion for it. Like, they gave them all sweatshirts and had them kind of taking shifts to kind of cajole people into completing the survey, handing out lollipops, things like that.
Yeah, we'll definitely take you up on that offer for sure.
Ms. Ingram?
Yeah, I love that idea. And I found that with the surveys, it's very difficult to get people to fill out surveys, especially Google Forms and you know, multiple choice surveys. We usually land at about somewhere in a third. But what I did find is there are different language groups who really appreciate talking on the phone. So being able to have conversations with people and just collect data in that way, where the caller collects the data, and chatting with people is also very helpful. So would love to have a team of parents that and partner with the PA to do that.
I mean, this is the other thing. I mean, the surveys will be important, but so will the focus groups, assuming that we can be able to get those to happen as well. I think, you know, opportunities for, and however way that may happen, whether it's Zoom, phone call, or in person. But I think, you know, again, I'm looking at this as a first step and really trying to solidify a process that we can then continue to replicate in acquiring more information kind of on a yearly basis around what are the adjustments and or key priorities that we want to put in place. Just as a next step, I mean, Mr. Shaffer, Shivali, and Ms. Daves and I are finalizing, again, the survey and preparing for distribution. One of the things I didn't mention, but I may mention the last SLT, like, we are looking at large, like, broad categories. So again, we're trying to solidify what those categories are so that folks have an opportunity to kind of chime in on what's most important to them. We're going to continue to look at how to schedule, you know, whatever focus groups, those sessions. Again, there's lots of things happening in the month of May, so we recognize, you know, any time that people could give, you know, will be welcome. Please be patient with us as we're trying to coordinate that, and then we'll continue to follow up with Shivali, Mr. Shaffer, and Ms. Daves around the ways that we can continue to expand on getting and soliciting the feedback. All right, I'm going to stop sharing. All right, so any questions or any other questions? Big thanks to Mr. Shaffer and Shivali and Ms. Daves, because this will be another something else in addition to the career exploration we just tagged on to them as well. So we'll continue to figure out how all this will be connected together.
If there are no other questions or comments, I believe Ms. Ingram mentioned that we had a couple server comments.
Yes, you do. Let me just bring up let me see if they're still here, number one. It looks like they may have both left.
Okay.
Yeah.
Technically, I am an observer as an alternate, but I just wanted to bring up one thing, which is the Alumni Association came up, and alumni came up several times in this conversation. And I just wanted, I'm not sure how many people are aware, but the Alumni Association just made an important hire, or at least the school did, in terms of having someone who's full-time working on alumni affair issues, Diego. And I've had the opportunity to connect with him recently. The Alumni Association is hosting a benefit, much like the Parents Association is hosting their spring benefit. The Alumni Association is hosting their first benefit in many years due to COVID. And, you know, so if people are alumni or no alumni, or since we're all affiliated with Stuyvesant, and Shivali, you're soon to be alumni, and so are some of the other seniors on this call, you know, I think that's a great resource, and people should start hopefully reaching out to him. And at least, we haven't been great at record keeping as an alumni association. And so the more names that we can collect of people, I think that'd be great to start building that up now that we've got a good resource at the school.
Can I just add on, Diego Segolini is the new executive director of the Alumni Association. So I think most folks have been familiar with Rachel and Yanje, but Diego was, I guess, it's not recent anymore. I think he's been here for a little bit, but is the executive director. So it's been great to, as Chandra just made mention, it's great to have him. And I know really thinking about the ways or the direction of the Alumni Association. So they've been really wonderful about wanting to partner. So I think this is another opportunity for us to really think about the synergy and ways that we are kind of reinforcing and being strategic about how we're working together.
Awesome. Thank you all so much. We don't have any observer comments for tonight. So I think on that note, we're ready to close out. Have a wonderful month, and we will see you all next time.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Good night, everyone.